Perhaps I ought to provide Terry with the award that the Congressman and Majority Leader is receiving before he goes away, for which he has already thanked us. The Innovation and Leadership Institute at Capitol College is relatively new, and we have chosen to use this occasion to launch an annual series of Innovative Leader Awards. And as the first recipient of our award, we have awarded it to Congressman Steny Hoyer, and I'd like to read what the proclamation says for you and for the audience. On the 7th day of March 2008, Capitol College, at its National Symposium on Cybersecurity, and on behalf of its trustees, faculty, and students, hereby pays tribute to and recognizes the contributions of United States House of Representatives Majority Leader and Maryland 5th District Congressman Mr. Steny H. Hoyer. We hereby honor Steny Hoyer as an exceptional American leader for his extraordinary skill, integrity, innovation, and dedication over 42 years of public service, and for his exceptional leadership in strengthening our national defense systems, protecting our security at home from outside threats, and fundamentally ensuring the peace and safety of every American. Terry? Thank you. And we also have, for wall-hanging purposes, a very nice plaque designating Steny as the Capitol College Innovation and Leadership Annual National Award winner. Thanks so much to the Congressman and to you for joining us today, Terry.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Terry. I wouldn't want to give you Terry's speech again. It is now my pleasure to turn over the symposium and introduction of our panelists and keynote speaker to Dr. William Vic McConaughey. Before joining us at Capitol, Vic had served most recently as the Deputy Senior Computer Science Authority for the National Security Agency, Central Security Service. He has spearheaded development of a program for the next generation of cryptological computer scientists. Previously, and where I first met Vic, he had implemented a National Information Assurance Education and Training Program for the NSA. That program served the military services, DoD components, federal agencies, and the national information security infrastructure community. Vic was the principal architect for many national InfoSec training standards. He served as an InfoSec officer for the Department of Navy. He's a recipient of the prestigious National Cryptologic Meritorious Service Medal. This symposium launches his campaign as our chief academic officer to leverage higher education to help unite our country's information protection efforts. I offer our collective thanks to Vic and his distinguished keynoter, Mr. Paul Kurtz of Safecoat and Good Harbor Consulting, along with our distinguished panel of experts, Mr. Chris Ruland of IBM, Mr. Hayden Land of Lockheed Martin, and Dr. Corey Scow of the National Information and Assurance Education and Training Center, and Corey will be joining us from his location in Idaho. Vic, the symposium is yours.
Good morning, all. What a beautiful day here in D.C. And welcome to the symposium. Wow. Before I introduce our keynote speaker, let's just pause and reflect on what I would call our charge for the day. America on the Cyber Edge. Quite an ominous sounding title for a symposium. Why such an alarmist tone? Why such a sense of urgency? And what can we realistically expect to accomplish? Let me set the stage by noting where we were, where we are. In 2003, a national cybersecurity strategy was set forth and put into motion some very broad, sweeping kind of movement to better secure American cyberspace. As the President noted in his opening to that document, the cornerstone, and I quote, the cornerstone of America's cyberspace security strategy is and will remain a public-private partnership. The plan was a blueprint. One of the 5 points in the program was, first fix government and then extend lessons learned out to the private sector. Last October, a GAO report to Congress noted the following. Most agencies did not implement controls to sufficiently prevent, limit, or even detect access to computer networks, systems, or information. An underlying cause for these weaknesses is that agencies have not fully or effectively implemented agency-wide information security programs. As a result, federal systems and information are at increased risk. This report, in light of the FISMA law, brings many of us to a conclusion: we're simply stalled as a nation when it comes to cybersecurity. We're simply stalled in achieving true national security readiness. We can no longer wait for somebody and hope somebody to lead the way. We're going to have to all stand up individually, collectively, and take a hold of this. However, the current state of cybersecurity is not all bad news. There are many instances of fine and exceptional progress in this area. The issue is, as you look across the country, across our great government, across the great private sector, there are independent, isolated cyber initiatives. I call them isolated cyber security silos of excellence. Our charge today is to begin a national dialogue to discover the silos and to share, to the best extent possible, the best practices and lessons learned across those silos. Now's not the time for name-calling or blaming. Now's the time for coalescence. So let's listen to our keynote and then move on to our panel. It is a pleasure to introduce to you a friend, a colleague, a fellow cyber warrior, if you will, Paul Kurtz. Paul is currently the Executive Director of Cybersecurity Industry Alliance, a public policy advocacy group composed of security software, hardware, and service vendors that address key cybersecurity issues. His career highlights: he's Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for the Critical Infrastructure Protection Program at the White House and Homeland Security Council, Senior Director, Office of Cyberspace Security, and member of the President's Critical Infrastructure Protection Board, and on and on, and a distinguished service at Department of State. Paul, thank you, and it is absolutely an honor to have you here today to share some words with us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. One slight modification on my bio. I left CSIA last year and now with Good Harbor Consulting. So I'm no longer in the trade association business, but certainly well connected with industry and what they're doing, and I'll talk about one of their initiatives in a few moments. As Vic said, we are, if you will, on edge. I would argue that perhaps there's an awakening taking place today in cyberspace and cybersecurity. We can only hope that we'll make progress.